to the shortest format as India take on West Indies in the first T20I in Aruba, Trinidad. However, in an ODI World Cup year, every performance in T20Is will also be an audition of sorts for the players, especially some of them who are already in the reckoning for the ODIs. That's not all. The Hardik Pandya era has already begun, but this T20I series will give us a clearer idea of how the captain wants to build up India's next T20 World Cup squad. So lots to look forward to, but what I have been looking forward to the most is a special person on the show who's joining us today. Let me introduce former Indian captain and current broadcaster. One of my favorites, Anjum Chopra, joins us on the show. There are so many firsts that are attached to this incredible lady. In women's cricket, first 100 in ODIs, first female player to play 100 ODIs, lead India to their first international series win, and has played in 6 World Cups. यहाँ एक खेल लेते तो लोगों को लगता है कि बस this is it. We've arrived. She's played 6 World Cups. So good to have you on the show. It's been a while, Anjum. How have you been?
It's been a long while, Maya, but very happy to see you do so well, and thank you very much for the lovely introduction. I also need to add something that you're one of the first broadcasters who, of course, broke into this broke that glass ceiling. I will not want to use the word called male dominated, but then you made your own space. So yeah, the firsts are followed closely by others like me as well.
Thank you so much. So this is, as you can see, a mutual admiration club. But there's so much to look forward to. I think Anjum has been on the shows. I think with Didi, where she's been, doing commentary for this India-West Indies series. But this T20Is, Anjum, also very important in a World Cup year. Yes, it's the shortest format. The format's going to be different, but it's a World Cup year and there are some auditions, and this is a perfect platform for that.
It is. I think, probably if we say that 2019 is repeating itself and we are probably, still looking for the right balance. Again, I'm not saying that it's the same situation, good or bad, but we are faced with another similar sort of a situation. Maybe everything changes around in the next couple of months. Team starts doing well, players start doing very well, and everything starts looking excellent for Indian cricket. But at this point of time, as we speak, it's still a question mark as to this or that, this one or that one, who should play where. Whether we have got ourselves into this situation or has a situation come around in front of us as an Indian cricket, it's anyone's guess. But yes, we still are in a question mark situation.
Yeah, and the injuries to some of the key players haven't helped. But let's also introduce the gentlemen on the show who are regulars here. Let's not leave them behind. Chetan Narula is on the show. Jamie Alter is on the show, who will help us with the likely playing 11, match predictions, pitch report, and much more. So guys, welcome to you too as well.
Thank you, Meha, and good to be here with Anjum.
Hello.
Okay. So let's set up the game for you all then. The turnaround from ODIs to T20Is was so quick that we didn't even get the traditional captain's press conference on the eve of the first T20I that India plays against the West Indies at the Brian Lara Stadium in Aruba, Trinidad today. But it certainly does not mean India will be taking the host lightly in this series. West Indies may not have qualified for the ODI World Cup, but they are a good T20I side and will look to cause an upset against the visitors. Now, India have their own selection dilemmas to deal with in T20Is as Hardik Pandya tries to build his squad brick by brick, looking ahead to the World Cup next year. That's not all. Like I said, India will also see this series as a platform to audition some players like Surya Kumar Yadav, Sanju Samson for the ODIs. So let's put some of the big questions that Hardik Pandya faces ahead of the first T20I. Who will be India's openers in T20Is? Shubman Gill's name, it'll be first on the list. But who will be his opening partner? Will it be Yashasvi Jaiswal, who's been in stunning form, or Ishan Kishan, who is coming on the back of a player of the series performance in the recently concluded ODIs. Jaiswal's already proved himself in the tests on this tour as well. And with this purple patch that he's in, he could be given a T20I debut. But that also means Ishan Kishan either sits out or comes in at number 3. If he does come in at number 3, Suryakumar Yadav will bat at number 4, followed by Hardik Pandya at 5. So the other big question then is about Sanju Samson. Will Sanju Samson play at 6, especially since he scored a quick 50 in the final ODI and the management might want to audition him. And if he scores here, he could be that strong contender for the ODI World Cup. You see, there are so many things that we are looking forward to. This means that there will be no place for Tilak Verma. Now, we've all also been waiting to see him make his debut. He's done well for Mumbai Indians. India are likely to go in with Akshar Patel at 7. In the bowling department also, we'll get to know who the bowlers are, but the team management might hand a debut to Mukesh Kumar in the absence of some of the senior bowlers. So now that we've set this up for all of you, let's get straight to Anjum, Chetan and Jamie and start our conversation. I'm going to start with Anjum. Openers, big question mark there in T20Is. This is a team in transition. We've been talking about Indian cricket's phase of transition. Anjum, Yashasvi Jaiswal versus Ishan Kishan. This is going to be a difficult choice for Hardik Pandya today.
It will be, and I'm pretty sure when Hardik comes out to the toss, he will obviously have an answer prepared to give out to there. If it has to be between Yashasvi and Ishan, I'll still go with Yashasvi right at the top along with Shubman Gill and get Ishan Kishan at number 3. You know, very interesting, Neha, because we mentioned that if Ishan is batting right at the top, where does Sanju Samson bat? But isn't that the question and the dilemma that we have in front of us as well? If Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma are facing the new ball, does Ishan Kishan work it at number 3 in the 50-over format? And if he has to bat in the middle order, why can't Sanju Samson be preferred ahead of Ishan Kishan? So it's a question which probably we ourselves have created around Indian cricket. But I'm sure and I'm hoping that there is more to the picture as the time progresses in the 50-over format if both these players are going to be picked for the 50-over World Cup.
Interesting. Now, Yashasvi Jaiswal in the IPL, Chetan, this year, 14 matches, 625 runs, average of 48, strike rate of 163. We've already seen the kind of form that he's in. To leave him out will be just wrong, just absolutely wrong. But then you have Ishan Kishan as well, who's actually done nothing wrong. Every chance that he's been given, he scored a 50. Usse zyada, what more can one do? So how do you see this, how do you see Hardik approaching this? Do you think Yashasvi Jaiswal comes in at as an opener and Ishan at 3? It's a different thing that you opened with Ishan in ODIs.
Meha, for me, Ishan Kishan doesn't bat at number 3 in T20 cricket. That place has to be reserved for the number 1 T20 batsman, that is Suryakumar Yadav. The problem with Hardik Pandya, not with Hardik Pandya, the problem Hardik Pandya and Rahul Dravid and the Indian team management faces right now, they have to balance the T20Is with the ODI World Cup, and not to forget that just a year from now there is a T20 World Cup in West Indies, and which is why we are playing 5 T20s, and bulk of these players will be in that particular squad for the T20 World Cup. So they kind of need to start finding a balance for that T20 World Cup as well as give chances for the ODI World Cup. For one, I would open with Yashasvi Jaiswal. Shubman Gill and Yashasvi Jaiswal has to be the opening pairing for the T20 World Cup next year. And the question of Ishan Kishan, well, he opened in the ODIs and we were all talking how because he scored those 3 half centuries, he'll probably be batting at number 4 or 5 in the ODI World Cup. So this is an opportunity for them to make sure that he can bat at 4 and 5, give him that bit of run at 4 and 5 so that he's prepared for that multiple role that he's supposed to do in the ODI World Cup. Obviously, it'll mean that a couple of people will move here and there, like maybe Sanju Samson might not get a shot, but it seems like he will not be preferred for the ODI World Cup as well. So it's a bit of a confusion at the moment, but if they want, they can just lay down the particular order, keeping in mind both the T20 World Cup and the ODI World Cup. Somehow I doubt that will happen, but they just might do it.
But how are you going to do it? That's the thing. It's so different.
Like I said,
I mean, Ishan Kishan, this year, Jamie, 6 matches. okay, here's the thing. In T20Is, okay, let's talk about Ishan Kishan in T20Is. We're not talking about ODIs. In 6 matches this year, he's striking at 84. He's got 64 runs. Strike rate last year, 127, 16 matches. IPL didn't do much. You remember Ishan Kishan in the IPL as well. So now are you seeing him as, oh, we've got to give him opportunities because we are seeing him either as a backup opener or a wicket-keeper batter in case KL Rahul does not come. So you still keep giving him opportunities, or you see it format by format and say, you know what, he hasn't done well in T20 as we're not going to play him.
It's it's a tricky one, right? Because now what Ishan Kishan has done in these 3 matches, like we discussed in yesterday's show, he's now made himself and the Indian team in a rather tricky spot, right? You talk about self-inflicted problems. In a sense, it is a self-inflicted problem because he was going to be your number 1 keeper. Because and again, now reports are doing the rounds that KL Rahul will not be back in time for the Asia Cup. If he's not back for the Asia Cup, there's no way he comes back for the World Cup, right? So now you take the name Ishan Kishan, it has a very, very different connotation in the last 4 or 5 days. He's got the runs, but as an opener. Now, if he's going to be your number 1 keeper, and like you said, he's not doing great things in the T20I format, is there any point playing him now? Yes, I believe One Eye should firmly be on the West Indies and America next June, but that's still 11 months away. Right now, Ishan Kishan, if he's shaping up to play the role that we're expecting him to as number 1 keeper, if KL Rahul does not make the cut in the next 2 weeks, then I think Ishan Kishan should be wrapped up in cotton wool. It's not a T20 World Cup year. It's a one-day World Cup year, and he's now shaping up as a very important player. Play Yashasvi Jaiswal. He's earned the right to be here. He's had a fantastic IPL. He's someone who I believe will be opening the innings next June at the T20 World Cup, but he's not going to be part of this one-day squad. So by all means, give him the chance now. Maybe Ishan Kishan plays the 3rd match, the 5th match. Also depends on this series. I think the last 2 matches are in Florida, and I have no doubt, just like last year, it's so weird. We're talking about 5 T20s. India went to West Indies this time last year as well, and they won 4-1. So let's. I know it's wrong to discount the West Indies. I think we made that mistake before the one-day series. At least I did. But thoda halke mein le lo. Do not risk playing Ishan Kishan right now, given his importance that's looming in the one-day World Cup 2 months from now.
But that's the other thing. They don't know who's going to be their wicket-keeper batter. Is it going to be Ishan Kishan or Sanju Samson? I would think Ishan Kishan has edged past Sanju Samson after how he's performed in those 3 ODIs, but they are still not sure. Which brings me to the next question, Anjum, about Suryakumar Yadav. Suryakumar Yadav, should he be judged by how he performs in these 5 T20Is? Given that T20Is has never been a problem. It's when he changes the format, which is the ODIs, where he's unable to score runs. So what if Suryakumar Yadav, who is brilliant in T20Is, ends up doing well in the series? Do you just then say, you know what, he is going to be our number 5 or 6, depending on how the team management wants to play him?
I think this series will probably allow him to come back into that form that we know Suryakumar Yadav can score runs in, or has a utility to the Indian team. He can come back into form with these T20Is. But it will be interesting when the Asia Cup team is announced and how the Asia Cup is played. Because over there, that you'll have stiff competition. Every game is going to be important. Plus, that's the last opportunity. Of course, there's an Australia series as well, but that's probably a second last opportunity for you to fix your batting order and think who will bat where. So this series, primarily, whether it's Ishan, Shubman, Yash, or whether it's even Mukesh Kumar, all these players will be looked at that are they into form? Can they continue with the Indian setup and be around the Indian team? Because the Asia Cup, and again, there'll also be a little bit of opportunity of look at players from the Ireland tour, because just before the Ireland tour, or just after the Ireland tour finishes, I think is the Asia Cup as well. So there is a little bit of time, but it's a time for Indian players to come back into form.
I've got to ask you this though: should they really just start considering Yashasvi Jaiswal as one of the backup openers for the World Cup? Chetan?
Well, he's going to the Asian Games, isn't he? So
Yeah,
how can they do that? And not to mention Ruturaj Gaikwad, who's the vice captain in Ireland and who's the captain of the Indian team in Asian Games. He's not even part of this squad. So, I mean, it's already too much confusion. I'm not sure they would want to add. I mean, I just tweeted that, it's just such a fantastic day for Indian cricket not to make sense with team selection, because there's the ODI World Cup, there's the T20 World Cup, there's just so many people for so few spots, so many batsmen. I mean, it's just a perfect day to not make any more sense with team selection as they have been doing. So, look, Yashasvi Jaiswal, his time will come. All three formats, he's as long as he keeps his head and he keeps his focus, he is an all-format player for India, probably an all-format opener for India. But for now, I think we are already, having a bit of an issue accommodating Ishan Kishan in the middle order, trying to fix up Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma as the openers. There are only 15 people you can select. So I don't think his name crops up in the ODI discussion at the moment.
Okay, then let's just stick to T20Is for this for a bit and talk about what your batting lineup will be. Let me start with Anjum, and then I'm going to come to Jamie as well. Start with top three and then we'll move on.
Yashasvi, Shubman and Ishan would be around. It'll be interesting to go with Samson. Then, of course, Samson bats lower order, lower than Sky, of course. But I would probably be tempted to sending in a Ravindra Jadeja also ahead of a lot of other players, because he's in prime form. He's in very good touch as well, and he's going to be a player who will be playing all formats. So at least the top three with Suryakumar Yadav there, Hardik Pandya, of course. It's going to be nice, and I still feel somehow that Sanju Samson will also be a part of the playing 11.
Especially now with reports that KL Rahul might not be fit. I think they'd want to try both the wicketkeeper batters. Jamie, what about you? Do you agree with Anjum's selection?
It's, again, I think, like I said, Ishan Kishan has done so much. He got a 50 in the test match. He got 3 consecutive 50s in the one-dayers. How do you leave him out? And again, he's 24, so he's foreseeably going to be around for a long time. But I'll just go with Chetan. I think if Suryakumar Yadav has to bat somewhere, it should be number 3. Especially now we know that India have moved on beyond Virat Kohli. And Suryakumar Yadav, all his success has come batting at 3 and 4, more so at 4. But we've seen he's able to get hundreds and stroke-filled hundreds batting at 3. So for me, it's non-negotiable that he has to bat at 3. He also carries vice-captain status for this series. It's a bit of a Russian roulette that the vice-captain for the next series is something else. There's a different vice-captain for the Asian Games. But I think Surya has to bat at 3. Then on, again, I mean, on this show, I'm always saying give Sanju more chances. But between ODIs and T20s, it's actually the T20I format where he's been very inconsistent. He's actually got an outstanding one-day record. Now, how do you fit him into the T20 squad when Ishan Kishan is reeling off runs? If, and I think it's a big if, they do what I was saying, they wrap him in cotton wool, then it's a no-brainer. Sanju Samson gets in. But problem of plenty, you have Akshar Patel, you have Hardik Pandya. There's enough guys who want to bat 5, keeping in mind the next 12 months. So again, it's a massive headache for Hardik Pandya and Rahul Dravid. If you want an answer, I would say given his form in the last one day, that 51, I know Chetan is very critical of the amount of sixes that Sanju Samson hits, but I think that kind of a template should fit in very well for at least the first 2 or 3 T20s of this series.
Okay, would Chetan agree with that? And Akshar Patel can bat at 4. I mean, they tried him at 4 also. So
in T20s probably yes. I mean, if I have to name my batting lineup today, it will be Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Suryakumar Yadav at number 3, Ishan Kishan at 4. Just because I want to see what he can do at 4 ahead of the ODIs, and because he's batted in the IPL at number 4, he's done really well for Mumbai Indians, and that I think it was 21. Where he did really well, but he can do number 4. So I just want to give him a run at number 4. Then Tilak Varma, Hardik Pandya and Akshar Patel. Sanju Samson sadly misses out because you already have a keeper there, and Akshar Patel and Yashasvi Jaiswal provide you the left-handed angle.
Sanju Samson, give him opportunities. We need him for the World Cup.
See, for me, Suryakumar Yadav is number 3 and Sanju Samson either bats in 3 and 4. So it's a toss-up between Ishan Kishan and Sanju Samson for the number 1 wicketkeeper role there for the T20 World Cup. But right now, if I'm picking just for, yes, I'm keeping the ODI World Cup on the horizon as well. I want to give people a bit more chances. So that's why I'm picking Ishan Kishan ahead of Sanju Samson. Otherwise, with just the T20 World Cup, I think they're pretty much in the balance.
Okay, let's also talk about Hardik Pandya and his captaincy, Anjum. How do you think he'll be approaching this series? Because obviously now everybody is going to be talking about how anyone performs with that thought that there's a World Cup round the corner. And, can that person be part of the team, right? So, does Hardik Pandya approach this series with this idea, or this is my time, I need to make sure what my T20 squad is going to be like? Or would he be told by the team management, ki, bhai, you've got to try these guys because we are auditioning them, and he'll have to adjust?
Told. It will not be the fact that he'll say, Al, this is my team. Because remember, the selectors didn't pick him as a captain for the Ireland tour, keeping an eye on Jasprit Bumrah and his fitness levels, and straight away getting Bumrah to lead the T20 side to the Ireland. So he'll be told it's not. And I think, it's fair to say that Hardik has been a successful T20 captain over the last 2 years. You can definitely vouch for that. So when I say told, it's not that Hardik will not have a say in it. He will. But at the same time, everyone realizes that it's the eye on the World Cup that we are keeping and selecting and trying players in certain positions. So it will be a mixed bag. And I know Rohit is not a part of this think tank, but I'm sure the discussion would have happened before Rohit leaving, if he has left the West Indies, before leaving the West Indies and coming back, and as to how the team is going to be progressing.
Do you see Tilak Verma making his debut in this series, Anjum?
If he is making his debut, then of course Sanju Samson will be sitting out, and it's an interesting mix as well. Again, who do you play? Where do you play? So are you picking and playing players because they need to be given opportunities, or are you actually looking at certain players who are auditioning for the World Cup? So that's why I say Sanju Samson needs to play, because he is auditioning for the World Cup, and it would be unfair if he's in the squad and made to sit out, because that's waste of time for him. So yes, Tilak Verma is in the squad, but again, he bats in the top 3 or top 4. So where do you squeeze Surya? Where do you squeeze an Ishan Kishan or a Sanju Samson as a wicket keeper? So then becomes another dilemma. Are we looking for people who will be playing, or are we looking at players who are suited for that position that is constituting the Indian team?
How impressed were you by Yashasvi Jaiswal?
No, very. I think Yashasvi is class. I've seen him in domestic cricket. I've seen him score hundreds and massive hundreds in the playing for the Mumbai team as well. So he's a young lad. He's obviously keen to impress, wants to do well. That is no brainer. But he's got a very nice sense of humor as well. So he's jovial, he's funny, and he enjoys what he's doing. And the way he's risen up the ranks step by step, it hasn't been a lift right straight to the top level, but I'm sure the manner in which he constructed his 100 in the first test match, it wasn't an easy pitch to bat on, but he constructed a big 100, and he told everyone that I'm here to stay. So if a player has come through that kind of a grind and a temperament, you really want to put all your expectations on him. And I feel Yashasvi, we all know that Yashasvi will be there for long, but I hope he becomes a match winner for India rather than just having a long career.
Why did you say about this sense of humor? Is there a story?
No, there's no story. But when you interact with players, when you're off camera and when we're just chatting around in the ground, you know that ground is a massive leveler, and once you cross those ropes, you're inside the park. Irrespective of your profession, you always become a cricketer. So he has a nice sense of humor, and he's got a very childish a sense of humor as well. And it's nice to have, because you want to keep that child within you alive, irrespective of what you're doing. So yes, he's very focused on his game, but he's also very aware, as it's a nice laugh to share with people around.
Yeah, the story of Yashasvi Jaiswal, it's wonderful, so inspirational. But we've got to talk about India's bowlers as well. Is Yuzvendra Chahal going to get an opportunity, Jamie? All 3 ODIs, I'm sure he waited and he wasn't given one. Do you think this series they will try him out as well, or do you really think, like Chetan was saying this yesterday, he thinks that he's out of their World Cup plans? Is that something that you believe in, you agree with?
Yeah, again, see, Yuzvendra Chahal is, I think he might be on the fringes of India's ODI World Cup squad, because all said and done, you do need a second specialist spinner, Kuldeep Yadav. on the basis of the games he's gotten in the last 12 months, 16, 17 matches, about 29, 30 wickets. So hands down in this current Indian ODI scheme of things, he's the number one spinner for the World Cup because Chahal only played 6 one-day matches. When you flip the formats and you come to T20Is, it's the opposite situation. Kuldeep Yadav has barely played 2 or 3 T20s in the last 12 months, and Chahal has played far more. He's India's second most successful spinner in T20s after Akshar Patel. There's a big gap between Akshar Patel's success and his. That's because Akshar Patel has been playing a lot more. I think the fact that he sat out these 3 ODIs should not surprise anyone. But come the T20s, he's obviously valued far more. And again, something we've discussed here that, Rohit Sharma perhaps has not understood how to play Chahal. Hardik Pandya clearly does because he uses them a lot more. And this is Hardik Pandya's team because he is now the leader of the T20I side. So I expect Chahal, maybe not all 5 matches, but at least 3 matches I see him playing. And Kuldeep is now looking at sitting out more matches.
Okay, what is your bowling going to look like, Chetan, today?
Well, haven't really focused on the bowling because the batting lineup is just so interesting. I do agree with Anjum there that as much as I would want, as much as I want Tilak Verma to make a debut today and get some playing time, I think because he's in the Ireland squad and the Asian Games squad, he'll get his chances there. I think Sanju Samson will play today. It's just a matter of where he'll bat. In terms of bowling, Arshdeep Singh is there, isn't he? I mean, how is this guy not part of India's ODI plans? I just don't understand this. They've named him in the Asian Games and they've ruled him out in a way from the ODI World Cup. I thought, they could have played him in the ODIs in the West Indies. Gives you a left arm angle, can move the ball, is a death over specialist. How is he not part of the ODI plans? I just don't understand this. Yes, he's, the discipline bit is there. He's iffy with the discipline, with no balls. But chances though, he can work on it, he can improve. How did they rule him out so early? So, looking forward to seeing him. Looking forward to seeing Ravi Bishnoi. I think he's going to get a bit of chances, but Yuzvendra Chahal definitely. I think Yuzvendra Chahal and Akshar Patel will be the spin bowling attack, and then Umran Malik. I think this is the opportunity. I'm not sure he's going to be in the ODI World Cup, but I think definitely he's in the T20 World Cup plan. So. Looking out for Umran Malik over here.
It's amazing how differently we're thinking than the team management, Anjum. I mean, we're wondering, why is Arshdeep Singh not there? Why are they not even trying him? Why are they not selecting him in the ODI squad? Give him opportunities and let's see, maybe he'll fail and then, they can make up their mind about him. But it seems like they're really not considering him.
Yeah, that's a strange thing that they're not considering him. Yes, he was playing county cricket and he was doing well over there as well. Not playing for India, not getting considered for bowling 10 overs in a game is surprising. I'm sure probably because they have Umran Malik lined up. They've got Umesh Kumar, who's just made his debut for India, coming in and looking at possibility if Jasprit Bumrah isn't fit in time, so does Mukesh Kumar along with Siraj and Shami be around the Indian dressing room? So probably that's why Mukesh Kumar is given a go-ahead. And if Bumrah is fit, of course, he walks in. In terms of the spinners, because Hardik is bowling, so you have that luxury of having that another 2 spinners. Of course, Ravindra Jadeja becomes one. The second spinner, be it Chahal or be it Bishnoi, you have that luxury. But I still feel Arshdeep, even with at least the T20s, he's around the Indian team. So they're not ruling him out completely. And who knows how fit they are. By Arshdeep playing T20 back-to-back after the IPL straight away, of course, it's a nice thing that he's well over there. But you want to give Ravi Bishnoi an opportunity because they are specialists. They've just flown in specially. But if the hell doesn't get to play here again, then again, you don't want to be in a situation there that you have players who are in form, but they've just gone out of form because they've not played enough cricket.
Okay, let's move on to this other big story that we've all been talking about. We've been referring to it, but this is what it is. KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, they are unlikely to be selected in the squad for the Asia Cup 2023, which is set to be announced soon. According to the sources within the BCCI, their recovery is not sufficient for the tournament scheduled from 30th of August to September 17th. Now, Rahul had undergone a thigh surgery, while Iyer had a surgery on his lower back due to a stress fracture. Despite sharing progress updates on social media, it is deemed premature to rush them back into international action since it's 50 over cricket. It's very different. However, they are still potential contenders for the ODI World Cup later this year, provided they make a complete recovery. So the 3 ODI series against Australia in September could serve as their comeback matches. Due to their absence, most players from the recently concluded 3-match ODI series, it just keeps getting more confusing and more interesting somehow. 3-match ODI series against the West Indies are likely to be part of the 6-team championship in Pakistan and Sri Lanka. My goodness, Jamie and Chetan and Anjum, I mean, what happens now? My thing is, and this is Anjum, I'm going to ask you more questions today because I've already asked these same questions to Chetan and Jamie. My thing is that at what point do you say, you know what, we're not going to consider KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer? You know, it's too close to the World Cup. There's one thing is fitness, the other is match fitness. You know, we're not going to take that chance.
I think by this statement now coming out that they're likely to be fit or highly likely to miss the Asia Cup as well is probably just another polite statement before the big announcement that they're not fit for the World Cup. And also, you know, within the setup, they would be pretty aware of the fact because they'll be interacting with the physios, the players themselves. They would know how is the progress going to be. So, in my opinion, you know, Shreyas Iyer not being there in the Indian team is a massive loss.
Yeah.
And I say this probably more because Shreyas Iyer could bat in that middle order and control the middle order very well. So whilst we are still debating about Surya Kumar Yadav, Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan, whoever, and here is a Shreyas Iyer who would have just solved those problems for India. So his non-availability might be a bigger thing, but doesn't really matter because, you know, Indian cricket has actually moved on from there. We're waiting for Rishabh Pant to be fit, but we know that he's not going to be there. That's why we are already very clear about is it Ishan or is it Samson? So I don't think it's a massive concern because heart of hearts, everybody would still know as to which direction they're going.
That then takes me to the next question, which is who is going to be your number 4? It has been a question we've been wanting an answer to since 2019 World Cup. We still haven't got it, Jamie.
For the World Cup, again, I'll echo what Anjum just said. The fact that, you know, all this is happening, it's just a sort of a polite acceptance. Okay, these two are probably in a severe race of time, and we all know they have been. But now someone in the system has got word that, you know, that their window is now shut almost, you know. So then, like we discussed yesterday as well, you know, what do you do? Yes, Hardik Pandya, if he's not bowling a full quota of 10 overs, does give you a very viable number 4 option. But again, Ishan Kishan, after scoring 350s, what do you do with him? Yes, he's your third opener, but right now you don't need a third opener. If Iyer, whose our numbers are outstanding in the last 2 years in ODIs, and like Anjum said, his ability to control the innings, to shift gears, even, you know, and there's enough evidence in the sample, just the last 12, 15 months when he's been playing one days, where others have struggled, he's come on and he scored at a strike rate hovering around 100, you know. So he's a fantastic number 4, but he's not going to be around, we can assume. And even if he does come back, we wish him well. India cannot be assuming that he's going to come back. Who bats at 4 right now in one days? It's the guy who's batted there before, like Chetan will always reminded us, across formats, with decent success. Doesn't have the best numbers batting at 4 in one days, but...
Okay, I think I seem to have lost Jamie. Let me just continue with Chetan though. Chetan, you want to carry on that conversation? If Chetan can hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat that?
Okay, let's just move on from that question because now I think all 3 of you are back. You were frozen in time for exactly 3 seconds and I completely lost with the question.
We were talking about the number 4, right?
We were talking about the number 4, and Jamie was saying that he thinks that Suryakumar Yadav. Go ahead.
Look, yesterday the announcement, when I read that news that KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer might not be fit, it kind of made me angry. Because if it was being announced yesterday, then the team management already knew. And I have said this on the show a couple of times earlier, that they have more information than us regarding the fitness of KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer. Which, again, just beggars belief that Ishan Kishan was opening in all 3 ODIs. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, look, he scored the runs. He's the multi-purpose batsman they are looking for. So, yes, he is the option at number 4 because they've realized Hardik Pandya at 5 and Suryakumar Yadav at 6 makes more sense. And again, it's just so frustrating that Sanju Samson chose to hit 6s rather than score 100. I think Wasim Jafar has also echoed the same thing today, that, he should have batted out those 19 overs instead of going for 6s. Akash Chopra on commentary also said the same thing, that, you can't be hitting 6s. You have to bat through the innings. It's just so frustrating that 2 months to go before the World Cup, we still have no idea. And Anjum is right. I mean, Shreyas Iyer has solved all those problems, dominating at number 4. For the first time since Yuvraj Singh, India had actually got a number 4. First time since Yuvraj Singh. And look what's happening. We can't really play him in the World Cup.
No, you're right about that. But there is another controversy. And I would love to get Anjum's reaction on this. But let's first tell you about this controversy. The 2023 edition of the 100 got underway at Trent Bridge with Southern Brave beating Trent Rockets. But more than the action on the field, which was great, given Smriti Mandhana scored a brilliant 55 of 36 balls to take a team to victory, it was an interview that left a bad taste for me. This is what happened. Now, there was an interview done with fast bowler Madeline Brown in between the innings by Chris Hughes. He's a TV personality. And he asked a question to Brown about how the team had bonded together ahead of the competition. To which she responded by saying that we got together a few days ago in Southampton, and it was really nice to get together as a group. We played a practice game. We also went and watched Barbie the other night all together. We've done a bit of team bonding, and the group is gelling really well together. And I think that the key to success in tournaments like this is how well and how quickly you gel as a group. Great answer. What happened next? What happened next? I'm going to wait for that quote to get over. Now, what happened next is everything that is wrong with how women are treated in sports. The anchor goes on to say, "You're a little Barbie yourself, aren't you? With your blue eyes," he said. And Brown responded by laughing awkwardly. And then Hughes goes on to say, "She's blushing now." Now, if you can just bring Anjum back on this. It may not be offensive. It may not be offensive enough for this presenter to possibly lose his job. By the way, BBC did tell him that he was completely wrong. It was inappropriate. It was just not acceptable. But Anjum, this is what women in sport deal with. And this is very casual, in the way he said it. This takes me back to that Chris Gayle interview with Mel McLaughlin. Where he says, whatever. If you guys don't know, you can go back, Google it, and you'll find that interview where he made the anchor feel extremely uncomfortable. And towards the end said exactly this. He said, "Don't blush, baby." When he said that, would you like to have dinner with me? I mean, I don't even know. And we face this in the same kind of thing because we've been in this profession long enough. You want to react to this?
Sadly, when I was watching the highlights, I missed this. But the fact that, presenters, I think I will not be in defense to the anchor. I'll just say that the presenter, especially because, maybe in that humor, and they've been asked to keep the humor absolutely light and between an English humor, Australian humor, and everything can be said, which is probably not taken that seriously, but the kind of following about the game and the development of the women's game has come. I think slowly and steadily it's become very clear as to stay clear of certain expressions and how you want to be perceiving things, especially for the audience. So yeah, in that matter, I do feel that the choice of words could have been slightly more different, even if it's a very friendly comment towards a cricketer. It needn't be on the air. It could have been off air as well. But I do feel that, yeah, if the player Brown was uncomfortable in answering it, then maybe BBC would have stepped in and said, look, we need to calm things down here.
So just in your career itself, have things changed, from when you started? Because now women's cricket is different. Even women covering cricket, it's very different for them. You see more and more women commentators. When you started, you were possibly the only one, in India. Now there are more and more women. When I started, there were just a handful of us in the press box. So do you now feel like things have changed for the better?
I think people have become more aware, Miha, and the fact that they know that there'll be women around in the same room, whether it's covering cricket or being in the media room as well. So they're very aware of the do's and don'ts and cautious about their words, whether they write or whether they speak. So yes, of course, the mannerisms are always going to be important, but they've become more aware. And in the commentary box as well, we even if you have to joke around, like even if there is a little joke which is passed on, the person who's saying and the person who's being told are both on the same page that it was actually a light-hearted comment. So, at no point of time, either of the people involved in this discussion are actually crossing boundaries. So, and again, familiarity over here makes a massive difference. But yes, it's a world. It will still continue. It will go up. It will go down. There's no measure to this that it has stopped or it is stopping or it will continue. There's no measure to this.
No, absolutely. And this is also reflective of the society on the whole. It's not just in sports, in particular in cricket, but the society at large. Have you ever been explained anything? I mean, has that ever happened to you? Because it's happened to me. And a lot of times I don't know how to react to it. Now it hasn't happened. This happened during the start of my career. And I felt like there were men who just thought that it was their birthright, that they understood sports better than us.
No, fortunately, Meha, I think, I've been very fortunate to till date work in a very nice environment where nothing like this has come about. If it has to be explained, probably, I would have actually gone up to them and asked a question, or maybe they would have felt that, they can explain things to me for my good. So, as I said earlier, it's also about who the person is, who you're interacting with, and if it was in my case, I need to be very sure how am I being told and in what respect and what's the feeling behind it. So if it's being told for my betterment, that I'll become a better broadcaster, I would take it in that sense as well. So fortunately, the group has been extremely nice.
That's nice. The nice thing is that they've not made you feel out of place. I loved Chetan's reaction when I read that part out. So it was shocking to you as well, right? And you thought it was inappropriate.
It is. I have done a bit of broadcasting, and I'm just very surprised. And I've worked with the BBC, and I've worked in the UK as well. So I'm just a bit surprised that he's been let off with just a slap on the wrist. I mean, that to me is completely unprofessional. I mean, he's interviewing a women's cricketer. You can't, speaking as a male, I just don't understand how you can say that. And if Chris Gale was actually axed from the BBL for that comment, how is it any different? Are there different parameters for UK presenters and West Indies cricketers? Because that borders on racism then. So I am actually absolutely gobsmacked. Yes, Anjum is right that maybe, it maybe didn't, between the two of them, it probably wasn't hurtful or wasn't taken exception. But again, BBC standards, I'm just really shocked that he's just been let go with a slap on the wrist. I mean,
so that's the other thing. I don't think this guy is a cricket presenter. I think he's come on some reality TV shows and things like that.
But even
Jimmy
then,
might think exactly, absolutely.
even
No,
then.
I'm appalled. I'm absolutely appalled. And the fact is that she may not get offended. She may not find it offensive. It is still inappropriate. It's her place of work. You cannot be making comments about her appearance. She's so much more than her blue eyes. She's not a Barbie doll. You're not supposed to be saying that to her. Let's give Jamie the last word.
Well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just saying, it's his place of work as well.
Absolutely.
You just can't go on hitting on women at your place of work.
Absolutely. And you're blushing now? Are you serious? I mean, yes, Jamie. Last words. I'm completely out of time, Jamie. Sorry. Yes.
No, I'm just going to pick up on what Chetan said about the BBC having a certain standard. This fellow, this fool, was a Love Island contestant. Now, the 2 months I spent covering the World Cup in 2019 in England, everywhere I go, people are like watching this nonsense called Love Island, you know. So if someone like that, you know, is now anchoring the 100, it just says the BBC, of course, I mean, just a slap on the wrist won't do. But you're hiring someone like that to do these mid-inning shows or post-match shows, that is also problematic.
Yeah,
this should not be something that the BBC should be doing. Maybe because they want to take the 100 very, very lightly. But a reality show contestants coming and doing it shouldn't be happening.
Okay, we're completely out of time. I would have loved to carry on this discussion. But Anjum Chopra, how can I thank you? This has been fantastic to have you on the show. Hopefully we'll do more shows somehow. We'll get together and do more shows. But thank you once again.
Thanks very much.
And with that, I'd like to thank Chetan as well as Jamie to come on the show as well. That's it then. We're completely out of time. But coming up after the break, India's bid for a UN Security Council seat is blocked by a bunch of self-serving nations. This 1945 era rules mean that India's contribution to the UN spanning many decades is ignored. The rules of the game have to be tweaked for any real change. Watch this News 9 Plus special. Goodbye.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it.
It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now.
Support new permanent seats for Brazil, Germany, India and Japan.
France thus supports the candidacies of Germany, Brazil, India and Japan.
The United Arab Emirates reiterates its endorsement of India's bid for permanent membership.
India can become a permanent member of the Security Council.
We note India and Brazil in particular as key international actors and worthy candidates for permanent membership within the Council.
Getting a seat at the United Nations Security Council is like getting entry into the most exclusive geopolitical club of the world. But the biggest problem that this mid-20th century club faces is that the music being played is out of sync from the realities of 21st century world. The composition of the council in 2023 does look a lot like 1945, and India's bid to enter this VIP club is facing bottlenecks.
Please remember that India's permanent membership of an expanded, reformed United Nations Security Council is not an India-specific issue. There are many other countries there. You know, we have a G4, there's Germany, there's Japan, I think there's Brazil and India. And so we are also trying to say regional representation. So it's not India-specific. What does the preamble to the Charter state? We, the people of the United Nations. Happy birthday. You keep out 1/6 of humanity and you say, we, the people of the United Nations.
Our bid for UN Security Council membership predates that of the present government, but the present government is much better positioned today than in the past to push for it. So we have sufficient support in terms of number of countries to take the plunge. Because if you have 80 or 90 committed in a way because of joint statement supporters, plus the fact that India has now taken the leadership of the global south, especially during the pandemic. So in that sense, we are building up a strategy of wider support which can become 2/3 in case it goes to vote.
The United Nations Security Council comprises 15 members, and out of this, 10 are temporary, and the 5 permanent members are the United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. And here's the rules of the game, which are that all permanent members have to be on the same page for ratifying a decision or pass a resolution. And this utopian rule ensures that there's a deadlock on majority of the issues, as it is an impossible ask to have all 5 members in sync.
For example, in terms of Russia's conduct of the war in Ukraine, China threatening Taiwan, that kind of thing. And the veto power of the 5 existing members, of course, is enough to block any change in the composition of the council, because to do that, you need a UN charter amendment. And